Hi everyone, it's Carissa at Sprinkled with Glitter, and I am here with a Christmas project for you. This is actually the project that I'm going to be using for teacher gifts this year. And the main gift of the teacher gift was a coffee card from Starbucks. So I thought I would show you how I'm going to take that coffee card and kind of dress it up for them. And one of the things I'm going to be using is this drink sleeve die from Lifestyle Crafts, and I'm going to be cutting that on camera and showing that all to you. But I wanted to show you that the drink sleeve die comes with more than just the drink sleeve die itself. It comes with some of these banner shapes and things that you can use on the front of this. This is a folded banner right here, a couple of ovals, and another banner shape. So I'm going to set the other dies in this set aside, and I have a piece of, this would be 11 by 4 1/4. So if you just take your 8 1/2 by 11 piece of cardstock, cut it in half on the shorter edge. So this would be the 8 1/2 by 11 edge. Cut it at 4 1/4. That's half. And you can actually get 2 of those out of each sheet of 8 1/2 by 11 cardstock. So I'm going to show you how this works. I'm going to bring in my Big Shot machine here, and I will just set it right here on the table for you. And the reason that I'm bringing this in is because I want to show you how these dies cut and, you know, how great they work. The other thing is these are really good at cutting felt. So that is definitely an option, and I have actually cut fabric with them as well, and they work. And maybe in another video I will show you some tips and tricks for cutting fabric with these dies. I'm going to bring in, before I bring in this Big Shot though, I do want to bring in what I'm going to be using to cut this. Because it is a longer die, I'm going to be using my Genius platform by Lifestyle Crafts. And the unique thing about the Genius platform is it works in all of the die cutting systems, and it's also magnetic. So this base here is magnetic, so I can put my die on there and it holds it in place. So I just place my die cutting blade up on the platform. I'm going to place my paper over it, and this is cutting mat A. It comes with A and B, and it has some grid lines on one side and this pattern on the other. I don't know that it matters so much which side you use to cut on, but you know, it has double-sided. So I'm going to place this on top, and then I'm going to bring in my Big Shot, or my, Big Shot. They used to be called the Big Kick. And I'm just going to crank this through this Big Shot machine here. So you can't see my other hand, but it's actually cranking the little crank on here. And you can see that that fits right through the Big Shot. It also fits through the Vagabond and the Cuttlebug as well. You just have to look at the different basic sandwich recipes for this. So I'll take this off, and you can see that I have my drink sleeve cut there. And I'll just pop this out of the die, and then I can set this aside for now. And I'm going to fold this on the perforated lines, and I'm going to stamp a background on the main section. So this is where it connects in the back, and you just slide that in there. And I can go ahead and do that because it's not going to affect my putting this together. Actually, it will, because it's got the curve to it so that it goes around the cut very nicely. I'm going to unhook this to show you the stamping. I can leave it folded though, and that's the way I want it. I'm going to bring in this background stamp. This is the Circle Fusion by Impression Obsession background stamp, and I'm going to ink it up with some Real Red ink from Stampin' Up. And I'm just going to add a little bit of texture to the base of this on the main portion. I'm not actually going to stamp the entire drink sleeve, just this portion right here, and it's going to be the main part that you see when it's on the cut. Bringing in a piece of scratch paper here, and I will place this right down on this background stamp and use my scratch paper to cover that and just rub all over it. And that keeps my hands from getting inky and keeps me from smearing, but allows me to get a good impression on this background and show you that I have that nice pattern there on my drink sleeve. So what I'm going to do to speed this along is actually hit this with a heat tool, and while it doesn't seem like it would be very wet, it is wet enough to catch some embossing powder, and I don't want it to catch on this part. So I'm just going to hit it with the heat tool. Okay, so I just sped that drying along a little bit, and then I'm going to bring in my sentiment, and this sentiment is from the Paper Smooches Christmas Sampler stamp set, and that is right here. and I am using the Happy Christmas sentiment. So I'm going to white heat emboss that on the base of this drink sleeve. So I'll just ink it up with some Versamark. This is actually the Versamark Dazzle. It works just the same as the regular Versamark ink, and it just happened to be what I grabbed. So it's not going to play any part in, you know, making it more shiny or anything like that. So I want to make sure that this is nice and flat so that when I stamp it, I get a good impression. I'll just kind of flatten it out there. And then I'll bring my, actually before I stamp it, I'm going to use the powder tool. Prep that surface. And now I can stamp it. And the Versamark ink stays wet enough that I don't need to re-ink my stamp. So I'll just place it kind of to one side there and stamp it on my drink sleeve. But I'm going to bring in my white embossing powder and coat that image with the embossing powder. And as you may or may not be able to see on the camera, even though I heat set that background stamp, I did get a little few places where the embossing powder still caught on that background image. So what I can do is go with a little paintbrush and just kind of clean that up. Now, ideally, I would just let these sit for a little bit longer and let them dry completely. But since I'm working on a little bit of time crunch here, I'll just clean some of this off with a paintbrush and just kind of wipe it away in the areas that I don't want the embossing powder. Okay, and now I can just hit that with my heat tool. I'm going to bring in some of this Baker's Twine from the Twinery, and I cannot recall the name of the actual color right now, and I'm going to wrap it around this side over here just to add a little fun embellishment to it. And I'm going to be working on another embellishment also, so I'm going to get this tied on here. And I have Twinery, from the Twinery, I originally bought it in the little sampler pack, and what I did was I just took these little wooden spools. I bought them from Hobby Lobby. They're just in the craft section, and I just wrapped that sampler around it, and that just helps me to keep it from getting all knotted up, because the way I was storing it before was giving me a lot of grief. Okay, so I have the twine on there, and I'm going to bring in this stamp. This is a Christmas tree stamp, and it is from the Sensational Season Stampin' Up! Stamp set, and it actually has a little die set that goes with it that coordinates that I'm going to be using as well. So I'm going to ink this up in some Lucky Limeade ink, and I'm going to stamp it on this Whisper White cardstock from Stampin' Up! And then I can bring in this die that coordinates with it, and I'm going to actually go ahead and use a little bit of masking tape to keep this in place while I run it through my die cut machine. Now, this isn't an extended length die, so I'm going to go ahead and use my regular platform on my Big Shot, but I'm going to get this lined up. And these dies are made by Sizzix, and these dies have the cutting edge right inside the inside of the die. So when you line it up, you can see right where you're cutting because it's right along that inside edge. So I'm just going to line this up and just secure it on with some of this Eclipse Art masking tape. And there I have my perfectly cut out tree. And then I'm going to bring in just some of these jewels. Now these are just a Michaels brand Recollections rhinestones, and they were on clearance. And you saw me use these, I believe, in last week's video, and I went back and bought the green. Now the green are actually look like a rhinestone, the red and white don't. But I'm just going to sprinkle these throughout this little Christmas tree. I'm not going to cover every single little white dot in here, but I'm going to sprinkle them throughout, just to add a little fun embellishment to the tree. Okay, and now I have all those on there, and I can bring in my drink sleeve here again, and I'm going to be using these foam adhesive squares. These are the Sticky Thumb adhesive squares from Lifestyle Crafts, And I'm just going to use, I like that there's different sizes on here. There's some larger squares and then there's these smaller rectangles. So I'm going to use one of the larger squares and one of the smaller rectangles. There's also some circles in that pack as well. And I'm just going to put them on the back of the tree and attach the tree to the front of the drink sleeve. Just kind of off over on this side. Kind of a little wonky on there. So my tree's attached, and now I can bring in what I'm actually giving to the teachers along with this. So at the high school, they have actually purchased a Keurig instead of a coffee maker for the teachers. So I put a couple Cafe Mocha K-Cups in there. I also have a Starbucks gift card, so that will slide in there as well. I'm going to use a little piece of tissue paper and it's just a candy cane striped tissue paper. I'm going to kind of crumble it up and just stick it in the front of here so that I can raise that gift card up a little bit, because otherwise it gets lost down in there. So I'm just kind of cramming that down in there, and then I will put the gift card down there. And then I can put the lid on. This is just a little decorative coffee cup disposable coffee cup from Dixie. And a lot of this is going to be covered up, but you're still going to see the stripes. So I have that in there. And then along the top, there's the little drink hole, and I'm actually going to snip this. Just my scissors there. I'm going to open that hole up a little bit, and I'm going to slide a candy cane down in there. My candy cane in there now. And then I can just attach this at the back. So just slide that little tab inside the opening there to put this together. And then I'll just slide this right on to this coffee cup. Okay, and there are my teacher gifts for the year. I'm going to make about 8 or 10 of these and give them out to my daughter's high school teachers. I'm doing a little something different for the elementary school teachers, but then since there's so many high school teachers, I thought this was a fun and cute little gift for them. Little gift card inside, a little treat. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and for links to all of the products that I used in this project, you can visit my blog at Sprinkled with Glitter. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching.